I believe it is one of the most interesting issues for myself, luxury. In the last years, I believe it is one of the magic words, luxury, lux, luxus, in all the branches. I talk also a lot about it. And most of my experiences is everybody has his definition himself about luxury. And it will be great to hear from our guests. And the guests are very special persons. Mark is from Switzerland. I don't know him, I read his CV. But when somebody is coming from Switzerland, Switzerland is a brand for a lot of good things, yeah? And also for luxury. And ÖMER is one guy, I'm following him since a lot of years, he doesn't know. And he was manager in one of my most favorite hotels, Four Seasons in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. And Four Seasons in Sharm el-Sheikh. Both of them are very, very interesting hotels, and for a lot of people, I believe, it's good to see when you are in Sharm el-Sheikh or in Los Angeles. I will start with ÖMER, and it will be good. Mostly of you are hotel guys. It will be good. First, he's presenting himself. He's one of the important Turkish guys that is outside of the country since a lot of years and very, very successful career. It will be good. He is talking before going in the luxury concept about his career and how his experiences in his career with luxury. And then we will hear Mark. Please, Ömer.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ömer. I'm from Istanbul, actually. I was born a few hundred meters from here, right in Maçka, so it's a delight great feeling to come back home. Yes, I have done, not by choice, but sometimes by chance, that I have done a long period of time with the luxury hotels and also retail. Being, after studying in Switzerland, being in US with Four Seasons, from Hawaii to Los Angeles, then finally to Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, and then passed to Harrods in London, being board of directors for a few years and managing the Ritz in Paris, then Royal Monceau in Paris, and now Katara Hospitality. Katara Hospitality is a state-owned company which operates 34 properties today, 11 under development in addition. And there are some of the well-known assets like Carlton Cannes, Peninsula Paris, Raffles Royal Monceau in Paris, Amstel in Amsterdam. We have a joint venture in Savoy in London. So we do a lot of luxury assets, and we are growing worldwide. So a lot of things on the pipeline, and it is very important for Katara Hospitality to own, operate, or also we have our own operating brand called Move Up. You will hear more and more in the coming months and year. So we look at it in different ways. Being on the operating side for many years and now on the owner side, the expectations on luxury changes, but the fundamentals never change. So it's always for me going back to basics. And I want to give one little example that where I lived, and it's a funny story actually. So one of the times when I was passing from one hotel to another, one of the clients wanted to stay with my new property. He was a very well-known businessman in the world. So he asked to make his reservations 3 months in advance. In our business, is a very long period of time. So I asked my team, let's look what he likes, what he doesn't like, because today, you know, you see guests having certain diet, and after 3 months another diet. They have different preferences. So I asked the team, please go study him, and I want to know what he likes, because I want to give him the most personalized service, which I believe is the true luxury. Nothing comes out, we check his Twitter, Instagram, nothing. It's all about statements about politics, about what's happening in the world, but nothing about personal to him. So the night before he's gonna arrive and check in, I went home, I asked again to team anything, he said no. I said okay, I went home and they called me, we got him. I said what? He said he just checked into the flight, he's a US airline, and he's sitting in the first class and he asked for a Diet Coke. And the flight attendant said, sorry, we don't have it. So he tweets on his Twitter, can you believe it, I'm flying a US carrier and they don't have a Diet Coke. So what we did is, we have airport greeters in Paris. So I sent the airport greeter with 2 Diet Coke cans to the plane gate. And when he arrived to the plane, the guy is waiting for it, 2 perfectly chilled Diet Coke. And that for me, it's the moment that he can take home, and he said, this is where I belong, because they follow me and they care about me. I'm just not another customer with a number. So that was my luxury experience.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Eberhard. I come from Switzerland. And after my studies at university in Bern, I went to hotel school in Lausanne. And then I took off to Ireland. And I lived over 11 years on islands, so I'm done with tropical islands for 3 lives. I opened Soneva Gili, I managed Soneva Fushi in the Maldives, I lived in Thailand before that. Then I went off to Cyprus. I returned to the Maldives after the tsunami. I opened another hotel. Then I went to Sri Lanka for a year, and then I managed to turn around Frigate Island in the Seychelles. Stayed there for 4.5 years, and I'm presently back in Central Europe. I'm in process of renovating and opening a historic prison into a boutique hotel. I started my own company in 2004. We're based in Zurich, and our key competences are in opening, managing, and turning around small and tiny hotels in the high end and in particular the top end. And we live to a slightly different definition of what luxury is all about, and we will certainly talk about it as we come. And we believe that there is much more than the golden bathtub and the big Swarovski luster and the oversized soap bars and 2,000 towels in a room. Given the experience and kind of adding on to what you just said, it is beyond just the tangibles. And we personally believe and live a definition of luxury which is mainly intangible. And within that definition, we found 5 pillars which distinguish. The first one is time. Everybody rushes. I think it was Mr. Rockefeller who said time is money, and I guess he's pretty right. So if there is one holy obligation that we have as hoteliers, it's try not to waste the time of our guest, and actually to facilitate anything we can that our guests have more time, better time. The second pillar is space. And space is not just an oversized hotel room, but if you open up your windows, the view that you have, whatever that is, it can be a beautiful view over the old city center of Istanbul, it can be a lovely desert experience, Swiss Alps or some tropical beach, doesn't mind, but you just don't want to have a big road here and a track there and a queue here and construction site on the other side. The third thing is the personalized, individualized service. So it's the Diet Coke at your plane gate. well, I think I could fill books with what guests want and how it is our job to basically make sure that these wishes are fulfilled. So ultimately, to have a personalized portfolio of your needs of your guests, to have a guest profile is very, very, very important. The fourth thing is exclusivity. In today's world, your top-end guest wants to be in a surrounding where he feels exclusive. Excludere in Latin means to, well, exclude in English. So you don't want to have 5,000 rooms, 7,000 rooms and sharing this experience with 10,000 of other people. You want to be one of the selected few. You want to be in a place where you just know that there are certain regulations that allow you or do not allow you to be there. And that can be the price, it can be the size. And the last thing, which interestingly enough is increasingly important, is safety. Now this is not just safety as in that you don't get robbed or that you don't get shot, but it is, for instance, that you create and you guarantee paparazzi-free zones. I signed, I don't know how many contracts with lawyers around the world, guaranteeing to people from Hollywood and royal households to assure that they will not be bothered by photographers, film teams, or any other paparazzi. So this is along the line how we work, how we think, what we believe in, and what we do.
Thank you. When you talk about Diet Coke, I remembered one experience too, which I will share. Years ago, I met Antonio Citerio, he's designer of Bulgari in Milan, in Bali. I was working on a project with him, and first thing when we talked about luxury, he told me, follow me, look at, for me is luxury when you go in the room, in the hotel room, and you are hearing nothing else. For this reason, I am making, first thing by a hotel is for me not the chair. For me is the first thing, the isolation. First I couldn't understand, I understood, but I couldn't understand from a famous designer to hear for him is the isolation, the important things. Yeah? And I was that time living in Vienna, and when I was going first time in Bulgaria, Milan, I went in the room, and it was really right. There was nothing to hear. When somebody is going to Bulgaria, Milan, or Bulgaria in Bali, most probably also in London, yeah, because the design is always the same. For him is the luxury, the silence. So it means you made a very good point with this Diet Coke, which I will not forget, and I hope also our guests. Yeah? Sometimes Diet Coke is very important. So everybody in our hotels have to have Diet Coke because nobody knows. Sometimes it's coming one guy and only his needs are Diet Coke. But Ömer Bey, we will not leave you only with the Diet Coke. We would love to hear some other experiences too, because I know you are not all the time in Turkey when we catch you. Yeah. Otherwise, I will start about my experiences in Los Angeles Four Seasons, which is also really, for me, a very good example for luxury or hospitality, how the people are taking care personally for everything. If you have a view to Rodeo Drive or somewhere else, yeah. So it will be great when you can share some other examples about luxury too.
Well, I think the era of information for me is over. We are in the era of inspiration. And inspiration can be one photo, one word, can be much more powerful than writing memos. Today, if you want to search data, you have flexibility and you have availability for every source through internet. And you may have more than what you need and spend hours and hours finding the answer or doing a search. But what I mean by inspiration is to deliver a service which I believe it could be tangible on delivery, but it will be intangible when you remember. And that comes from inspiration, because I want to give you an example. When I was younger, you know, my dad used to take me to the hotel when he went for a business trip. So when I came to the hotel, and I'm young, so it's not and we had a TV in the room and a minibar in the hotel room. And I was like, wow. I mean, this is 30 years ago to have, you can watch a TV in your bed and open the minibar and pick up something. That was like, wow. Today, the living standards of the affluent traveler has increased so much. I don't think you really impress them just with design. And I always look back when people ask me, what was your favorite hotel or what is your best hotel? I don't remember the chair or the carpet color or the curtain, but I remember the people and how they made me feel. To the point today, all the time we tell our teams, you don't go back to that hotel, you go back to visit that person. And it is very important to create that emotional luxury, which is a memory, which is a feeling, which is priceless. Everything else you can show on the plane. You can, you know, I always say, when you're traveling on the plane and somebody, the next passenger, where are you staying, where did you stay? It's nice to mention nice brands of hotels, but that's very short-lived. At the end of the day, what makes you, what is a great dinner conversation will make you the experience you have. And then those people want to come back and come back and come back because they want to feel the same. It's almost like an addiction. You start craving for it when you don't have it. In a fast world, there's so many dynamics, but when you don't get that personal attention, and we all love to be loved, we are human beings, when you don't get that, you always compare your every stay to that special stay. You said, do you remember what we had that? And not to worry so much about gimmicks, but deliver the basics. I always say, there is no point of asking each guest what kind of a newspaper you want if you cannot deliver the luggage on time, or if you cannot deliver a quick coffee on time, because that becomes gimmicky. So basics are very, very important. I always say, people will forget all the little dishes, but they will never forget the best orange juice in their life. Because there's a comparison base every day. Somebody will remind you, or coffee, or tea. These are realities, but a freshly brewed coffee comes to your table. I think it creates a lot of memory in your mind. Today, we test people on services, on standards. And in the hotel business, there's a lot of debate. Standards, no standards, are they that make it luxury? Our recollection is standards are the basics. It just gets you to the game. But it is not going to win you a championship. You can get 100% score on any survey. Doesn't mean you're a profitable hotel, or doesn't mean you have a lot of return guests. The way we explain that, we send spotters to the hotel. Let's say I go into the hotel and I ask for an espresso. The waiter comes back with an espresso. And I say, I'm sorry, I didn't order espresso, I ordered decaf espresso. Now this is not true, this is actually set up question to see the reaction of the server. And the server goes back to you and says, there are a couple alternatives. One, he says, no, you ordered espresso. You didn't order decaf, which start debating with the customer. The second one says, the face says no, but the word says yes, okay, I'll get you another one, but he's obviously not agreeing with you. And the winner one actually goes back and makes you the decaf espresso without arguing. And at the same time, we make it even more difficult. So what we do is, forget about it, I'm running late, I have a meeting, just give me the check. The best server is the one who goes to the kitchen, makes a decaf espresso on a to-go container, brings it and says, it is on us. Not debating with the customer. So These are, now you cannot make a standard out of this because there are so many different behaviors. But if you start educating and training the team to think like this, then you start creating a lot of emotional luxury.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed, I fully agree. I lived this for years and years. And it is actually a question of mindset. And what every single employee that I have ever worked with has to sign, and this is part of his working contract with me, is the ultimate philosophy that we live. And it says, the answer is yes, what is the question? So, do not debate, make it happen. Example, I was sitting in the Seychelles, and I had a guest who asked for a Lady Grey tea. Nobody in the entire hotel knew what Lady Grey tea was. Already we had an understanding. Lady Grey, no idea. So we said, of course, we can handle that, although we didn't know what it was. To then find out that Lady Grey tea is actually green tea with bergamot infused oil. So, and we went back to guests and said, yes, we'll make this happen. We found a shop in London that can organize that. In the meanwhile, we need to improvise. So we took some green tea, gunpowder from Twinings, and we went to the spa, we got some essential oil, and we mixed it to the liking of the guest and said, the real Lady Grey tea is on the way. It takes you 48 hours to get it from London to the Seychelles, but we did it. The answer is yes. What is the question? And I guess, as you say very correctly, this is about not just matching the expectations, but exceeding these expectations and having fun, because we're people and we spend maybe half of our lives working, so let's have some fun about it. And if this whole attitude becomes a driving attitude, you will then, in the end, run a successful hotel.
Thank you. One small other question, because I saw you have a lot of knowledge regarding spa, and we have in Turkey all the hotels a spa. What means for spa luxury or for luxury spa?
Well, let's for a second look at this word, spa. Spa is Latin, it stands for sante per aqua, so health through water. So if you talk a real spa, you need to involve water in one way or the other, be that a thalassophilus spa with seawater, a balneary spa with fresh water, whatever. And we noticed over the past that the spa market has evolved. So some 10, 15 years ago, it was the big hype, and you had these spas that basically covered like 7-Eleven from your Balinese to your hammam, to your lomi lomi, to your Swedish massage, a bit of everything. Today you have a much more educated market. You have a market, you have a clientele that has gone through these, call it basics, and they want the special. So what is special? Special is always when it's authentic. An authentic experience, be that in a hotel or specifically referring to your question, spa, is something that would refer to where you come from. So if you set up a hotel, and this is very much what we do as a first step, we want to find out where are we? So what is our cultural, our geographic, our social surroundings, and what does it have to offer? So if we come to Turkey, we know that there is a tradition of spa since 2,000 years. We know that we are in a Mediterranean environment with a very specific climate, with a very specific flora. And let's see what the people did a long, long time ago. And it is absolutely stupid to import some black polished lava stones from Hawaii if you've got 10 times better marble laying on the roads literally around the corner. So the question is, how do you combine the expectations of your guest with what you have? And then it is a question of tailor-making. And if you then combine with what we call a triple bottom line approach, so on one side you want to be economically profitable, or we're not Salvation Army, and then yet you're socially responsible and you're ecologically sustainable, you come up with formulas that cannot be copied. I find it wonderful if you see some of these big e-spas and Sadashis and Elemises and Six Senses spas, whatever. But let's go to the grandmasters. And the grandmasters may be the little hammams around the corner, which in 10 generations have done this business. Because would they not be good in their trade, they would have disappeared from the market. Or take the old monasteries in Western Europe. I mean, they were the first pharmacies to be. They cured and kept all these secrets of these herbs and all these plants and whatever. And today, it's like a dictionary full of information, full of treasures, which just are waiting there to be harvested and put into practice by, for instance, creating your own spa idea. So there again, and as you said, this is not about brands anymore. With the necessary petty cash, you can get your brands. And be that from your Villeroy and Boch crockery to your Riedel glassware to your silver cutlery to what name you. Wonderful, but everybody can have it. But what not everybody can have, if it is something that goes back to the roots. So if you ask me what is a good spa, go back to the roots.
Thank you.
If I may add something, it goes back to authenticity. We have a lot of Middle Eastern guests staying in our hotels, but when they come to a European hotel, they don't necessarily want to have baklava or all the sweet desserts. They want to have what French has to offer, what Italy has to offer, what Turkey has to offer. So it's the same thing when you come to Istanbul. No respect to La Durée or Pierre Hermé, disrespect to them, but you don't want to have a macaron because Turkey has its own beautiful sweets. And you cannot get them in Europe. Same in spa. So staying true to your local identity and giving authentic experiences, whether it's a spa, whether it's a food, whether it's the design, some elements. I think it's more unique today than making same hotel, same amenity, same service everywhere in the world. It is not anymore for me luxury. It's just too commercial and too flat.
Thank you. Are there any questions for gentlemen? Please.
Do you think for the millennials it's more about luxury of choice?
We couldn't hear. Is there any microphone? Or can you come a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you.
You were talking about different versions of luxury, and I was wondering, regarding millennials, isn't it more about luxury of choice?
In terms of luxury of choice,
In terms of technology, you provide personal service through your people, but also through technology. I was wondering what do you do?
Human or technology?
Yeah, how do you?
I think it's the key word is the choice. The luxury is giving a choice for me. So when you buy a car, I've seen so many cars when I was in Hawaii, they have a heated seats. The average temperature is 35 Celsius centigrade outside. But people, when they say, I want to have all those things, I see people without children having a TV screens on their back seats for the passenger seats. So this is a big debate. Should we check them in or should they check themselves in? I think the big choice is it should be less hassle, but if somebody wants to have a choice of a service, it has to be there, because at the end of the day, human touch, computer can only do so much. I mean, I was staying in the hotel last week. It's not one of our hotels, so they give me an iPad. So I can do everything from there, right? I can order room service, turn on lights, turn off lights, everything. But I cannot order a Caesar salad without anchovies, which is the traditionally is inside the sauce. So figure that out. So it is, for generic service, it's good. But if you want a little bit more customized service, this system will not work. Today it will not work. When I was in Hawaii, we call the food orders as novels. I mean, one burger would come with a side of this, medium rare, no onions, but tomatoes, but the green lettuce, but this sauce. By the time you finish the order for one burger, it's like a fish like this on the kitchen. So try to do that on the computer and try that person to understand. So I don't think it gives you that. Another example to answer your question. A few years ago, I'm in London, and I just came from Sharm el-Sheikh. And in the morning, I put a wake-up call. So the person called me up in the morning and said, "Good morning, Mr. Raja. Thank you for bringing the sunshine to London because we needed it so bad. It's such a wonderful day. What can I get for you?" The computer doesn't do that for you. And I just wanted to know who this guy is, because you wake up in the morning, he says, "Hey, what time is it? Where am I?" And the guy just brighten your day. And I believe in having that positivity. The computers cannot provide that. It can make it efficient, it can make it fast sometimes, but it will not give you that emotional luxury we all humans need, the love. And that's, I think, the pure basic of hospitality.
Thank you.
I agree. Techniques and all your gimmicks is a tool, full stop. What it does, it facilitates. It makes certain things more efficient, more comprehensive, quicker, what name you. But hotel trade is people's trade. And I find it always a bit sad if two pupils sit next to each other and they don't talk to each other, they kind of manipulate on their little iPhones, what name you. Now, how stupid is that? And human beings are social beings, and we live and we love of personal exchange. And therefore, you will never, ever replace the human being in a hotel. In fact, what we do is, in our understanding, is we distinguish between high-end hotels and top-end hotels. So basically, the higher you go, the more you reach the top, the more people you need in the front. What happens behind the scenes, we don't care. They use all the computers in the world, make it efficient, make it fast, make it good. But when it comes to man-on-man, in front of the hotel, in conjunction with a guest, you want to have your people. So I appreciate what ACAR does with its electronic check-ins and whatever. Wonderful. Not in the top-end trade. No way, never ever.
With this beautiful statement, we are closing the panel and then go to the next. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.